This is a meeting of the Westborough Town Seal Committee. It's 7 o'clock and I declare the meeting is now in session. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, no in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted for entirely remote meetings, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means on Westborough TV, Verizon Channel 28 or Charter Channel 192, or on www.youtube.com/Westborough TV. However, in the event that we are unable to do this despite our best efforts, we will post on the Town of Westborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after this meeting. Okay, that being said, good evening. My name is Wendy Mickle, and I'm a member of Westborough Town Seal Committee. I'd like to thank you for attending this second information gathering session of the Town Seal Review Committee. Our committee co-chairs, Nick Argento and Alla Baranowski, are unable to be with us tonight, so I will chair tonight's meeting. I'd like to introduce our resident members of the Westborough Town Seal Review Committee with us tonight. Jenna Casello, she'll host the Zoom session and the technical side of the meeting. Phyllis Jaffe, Eric Waite, Dan Lambert, Ian Delahunty. First, we'll present an overview of the issue at hand, and then we'll ask everyone for comments, depending on the number of written comments received from our solicitation and those who are on the Zoom wishing to speak. We will alternate Zoom speakers with written comments. Each speaker will begin by giving his or her name and address to include your street number and street name. The committee has set a 3-minute time limit per comment. We want to allow time for everyone who wishes to speak to have a chance to speak. The chair has the discretion to allow a resident to go beyond the allowed time to finish a full thought or idea that they may be presenting. If you would like to speak, please send a message through the chat box. If you are unfamiliar with the chat box, please let us know. We ask that no one speak more than twice until others who wish to speak have had an opportunity to do so. So with that, I think we can begin. So this is our charge. And the committee is looking for responses to 3 questions. These are the questions. So I think we'll keep those up. Is that what we're going to do? Okay. So do we want to start with any letters or memos we've received, or is there someone waiting to speak? Okay.
I don't have anyone in the chat.
In that case, I'll read a letter first, and then we'll see if someone wants to speak after that. Dear Town Seal Review Committee, I would like to offer, this is from Betty Kristen of 16 Piccadilly Way. I would like to offer my thoughts on the topic of the town seal and request that my opinion be considered with respect and an open mind. I have lived in Westborough for many years, and I have proudly associated my town with Eli Whitney's invention of the cotton gin. Eli Whitney used his ingenuity, his engineering skills, and his entrepreneurial spirit, 3 assets that have pioneered our country for centuries, to achieve a comfortable level of prosperity as well as advanced technology worldwide. It is for that reason that his accomplishments should be heralded and inspiring for generations to come. The cotton gin is one of the key inventions of the Industrial Revolution. It was a means to produce cotton clothing in a more efficient manner. As America's first global commodity, the fine white cotton fiber became the sought-after article of commerce for local as well as New England and European textile mills. It was the flow of cotton capital that helped subsidize the nation's railroads, steamships, and locomotives too, along with making planters, bankers, ship owners, and merchants of the North and South wealthy. To discredit this invention because it can be linked to the poor treatment of slaves is analogous to saying that the invention of the sewing machine by Elias Howe should be discredited because it can be linked to the numerous immigrants who were forced to work in these sewing sweatshops under deplorable conditions. I respectfully ask that the seal be left in its current state to reflect our pride and ideals of American ability and inventiveness.
Okay. Is there anyone on as of yet? Jenna? Logged in?
No.
So I guess we can the next
Okay.
email.
All right. The next letter is from, this was handwritten, so please excuse me if I don't read it quite that well. Charles Ward of 11 Chestnut Street. Please leave the Westborough Town Seal as it is now. Eli was a good man, did not invent the cotton machine to increase slavery. He was a great industrial inventor, and we should be proud of him. That's the second letter that we received.
Okay. If there's no one there, then I might as well read the third one.
Okay. Carolyn Spring of 12 Deerslayer Lane sent the following to the committee. In looking at the current seal, I have a couple of thoughts. Number one, if it is decided that it should be changed, maybe a professional could be hired to come up with some choices. Two, if we decide to redesign ourselves, then I suggest the cotton gin be removed, since this seems to be everyone's objection to the current seal, and instead put a sleigh, since we were such a large producer of sleighs back in the days of the Sibley brothers, or a cow to represent our farming heritage, or both. I like the idea of leaving the town hall clock tower and being sure to include either as numbers or as words, 100th town or 100th town. I believe these images reflect Westborough's history, and these are the things that come to my mind when I think of our town and what it is known for. I also think of it as a welcoming community, and that is one of our values, but I am not sure how best to represent that on a town seal. I'm going to try and make the Zoom meeting tomorrow, but if not, these are my suggestions. And those were the three pieces of email letters that we received since the last meeting.
Okay. Anyone waiting? Not yet?
No, but if I see everyone on the screen, so if anyone wants to just raise their hand now, I can also unmute you if you would like to speak. I see one person. I'm going to send I just unmuted Syrian.
Yep. Hi, my name is Kieran O'Donnell. I live at 293 Turnpike Road in Westborough. I'm a concerned Westborough citizen. I'm here to speak against the proposition to remove the cotton gin symbol from the town of Westborough seal because of the specious arguments that were used by Anthony Vaven, our local history librarian. These arguments have been repeated now on 3 different occasions over 18 months. Let us recall that Westborough was shut down by COVID for most of that time. The principal specious argument is that it is a fact that Eli Whitney's machine made slavery so much more profitable that it had ended up preserving slavery when it was beginning to wane. This is a thesis. It is not a fact. The thesis is actually based on a 1958 economics analysis by Alfred Conrad and John Mayer. It basically says that in the 1850s, owning slaves was the most profitable way for a rich person in the South to make money. Well, it wasn't profitable for very long because 10 years later, they faced complete ruin. In a 1967 analysis of the Conrad Mayer thesis by M. Lehman, several weak points are shown. The paper cherry picks the 1850 decades to show that owning slaves was profitable. However, from 1819 to 1832, and from 1838 to 1848, there were times of great distress because of low prices for cotton. Despite the invention of the cotton gin, cultivation under slave labor was only slightly more profitable than under free wage labor. There were significant disadvantages to slavery because free labor did not have to be fed if there was no work, did not have to be cared for in youth and old age, etc. And some similar points were reiterated in 2013 in the Yale Journal of Law by Paul Finkelman. It's true that cotton became an extremely profitable export commodity for the South in our country. It's equally true that it enabled imports of technology for railroads and factories that industrialized the North, preparing it for war. It's equally true that the high tariffs of these imports directly funded and expanded the Union government, playing against the South. It's true that the high use of slave labor led to a factor of 6 increase in the Black population in 50 years, and thus allowed that ethnic group to become a much bigger component of our society. Finally, it's not convincing to say that planters would have given up their slaves freely because of both greed and fear. It is patently false to minimize the significance of Eli Whitney's invention, his personal contribution, and his links to Westborough. All you have to do to know the truth is to buy this book. It's the reference on the subject from Johns Hopkins University Press. And I don't know why the committee hasn't done it. It costs $30. I would have a lot more to say, and 3 minutes is not enough to refute 8 single-spaced pages. I challenge the committee, of which there are only 5 out of the 9 members here, to allow us to prepare a refutation of Mr. Vaven's arguments and to have them debated by both proponents before the committee at a public meeting. If you really want the truth, have one point of view battle the other directly. That's all.
Thank you, Taryn. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Are there other people waiting to speak? No, okay.
No, if anyone wants to speak, they can also use the reactions button, and I can see a virtual raised hand as well. All right, Gail, I see. No, your audio is not working. If you would like to type a message, we can read that as well.
Okay, so I'm not really sure. We're still, is someone trying to get in or no? No, okay. So I'm not really sure what we should do while we wait for people to sign on. Oh. We could, if there's nobody waiting. I don't know if the rest of the, so Siren has, is it an 8-page? Is that what? Here, I can't hear you, Siren, if you're talking.
Yeah, it's here. It's the last pages 72 to 79 of the minutes of the September 23rd meeting is Mr. Vaven's presentation. It starts with a presentation that was made to the select board in 2020, and then he added some notes.
Do we want to entertain that, listening to?
Well, I don't know who's going to read it. I don't want to read it. I don't agree with
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
No, I don't agree with it, you know. If he wants to read it, he can, you know. I mean, it was
Oh,
already
okay.
read.
I thought it was something you wrote. I thought it was something you
no,
wrote.
no,
Oh, okay.
no. He wrote 8 pages to
Oh, okay.
basically, you know, he was supposed to tell you about the history behind the town seal and so on. And you can tell from the 3rd paragraph that his mind was made up.
Okay. All right, well, maybe he'll come before us again and answer questions if anybody has any. I guess we'd let him speak for that.
The text itself is, as I believe, the same way Sarah got it, is available online in our minutes for folks to read and see how they feel about it too.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but it's physically impossible to refute in 3 minutes. You know, you need an hour to refute an 8-page letter.
Well, we can take that up at our next meeting and discuss what, if we want to do something like that. We can pull committees together.
I think the best thing is to have opposing points of view to clash. That's how you found the truth out, right? You know, that's how we elect people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to send in a text of my speech? The written text, so the other committee members can have it?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
I think if you send it in to us, certainly as an email to the committee responding to us, it will certainly be read by all of the members. The same way I just read those short letters.
Right.
Your presentation would be read by all of the members of the committee.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll do that. That's not a problem.
Are there any members that have any questions? Is there anything?
Wendy, I
Yes,
believe if we posted this meeting as being held from 7 to 9, then we need to hold it open until 9 o'clock. Is that the case?
Yeah, because I think it is because we posted 9. If we had put 7 until, we didn't have, I'm not positive on that. I think we can adjourn. I don't know. John,
John would have to weigh in on,
is John on? Arnold?
I believe he was going to watch, yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my recollection, I mean, first, it's not, I mean, although it was posted 7 to 9, my understanding is there's no requirement that the meeting be open till 9, and the last the in-person info session was also posted from 7 to 9, but those are more hints. I mean, my understanding is that the guiding force is the agenda, and that as long as the agenda is there, and as long as you meet the agenda, and if you want to adjourn, you can adjourn. It obviously, if the Westborough TV folks could make a note that the meeting ended early, if you want to have it end a little early, just so if anyone joins late, they don't think they've missed their opportunity, and then just make it clear to anyone that there'll be other opportunities. I mean, this was the risk of having a public input session during sort of the holiday time. This was the risk, is that it's feast or famine. So.
Right. Okay.
So, but I mean, you might want to keep it open at least till at least 7:30, and it looks, and you might want to just run through all the participants and call them out by name and just ask if they'd like to speak before you close it down.
Okay.
Not an expert, but that's what I think.
Me either. All right.
It sounds reasonable. My suggestion would have been if that were the case, that we didn't have to leave it open. 7:30 certainly gives folks, that half hour, if they had been interested in coming, to get here.
Yes. I agree. Are there people on that are listening still that might want to speak or no?
Well, I guess I'm going to drop out because I got to eat dinner.
Hey, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Steve, would you like to speak?
Sharon, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Not really. No, I was wondering if Steve would like to speak. That would be the same.
Oh, okay.
You've
No,
had,
Oh, there he is.
Okay. Yeah. I spoke at the first meeting, information gathering meeting. So I said my piece and I came to listen to other people. I guess my question to Karen is, have you prepared well enough at this point to go through some of the points in the 8-page document to give us an idea of what you disagree with and why?
Sure. I mean, I can read it a little bit. So I've got it before me here. So like I said, it's 8 pages. And the first paragraph, Anthony Baver introduces himself and he says what I said, that he says that it prolongs slavery. And then he explains his purposes. So and how, in 1899, the state decided that everybody had to have a seal. So the first part is all generalities about the history of the seal and the new seal that we had in 1867. And so, I don't have anything to dispute about that. That's all facts. Then it talks about Eli Whitney. And it says that cotton gins had been around before Whitney's invention, most notably in India, well before the American South began producing and exporting cotton. Well, that's true, actually. Cotton gins had been around. In that book that I showed you, it says cotton gins had been around in the Stone Age. And so they were in China, they were in India, they were in all kinds of places. And then he says that the particular strain of Stoughton that grew in the South had fibers that were tightly attached to its seeds, and the Indian cotton gins could not separate the two. That's not actually accurate. There are 4 types of cotton, according to this book. There are 4 types of cotton. And so 3 of the types are found in the Old World, and 1 of the types is found in the New World. And it's the type that is found in the New World, specifically in Brazil, that you can easily separate the fibers from the seeds. The fibers don't stick to the seeds. And that was, according to the book again, but it's from Johns Hopkins University Press. I don't think she's making things up. What she says is that it's believed that a Native American tribe, long before Columbus, basically bred that kind of cotton, and they kind of created it by selective breeding. And so it's easy to make cotton from. And so it moved, it was taken from Brazil to the Caribbean and from Caribbean to the US, but it only grows on the coasts. So that was the issue, was that to grow something away from the coasts, you had to use the other kind of cotton, and it was a slow process, but it was a slow process in India as well. So it was a slow process in India as well. So yeah, and so then it kind of goes on. Let me see. Okay, so it says the institution of slavery greatly expanded. Well, it did expand, but it was expanding through natural growth, because people weren't able to, the slave trade was a crime for Americans starting in 1808. And it says that slaves were required to work longer and harder to meet production capacities. I would say that's kind of dubious. You've got a machine that makes things much more productive. So people would usually work longer and harder if the work is very arduous. Okay. So then it kind of goes on, and he talks about how he was in the National Museum of American African History. And then in that museum, there is a cotton gin. And basically, he goes into a long discussion here about symbols, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But what I object to is that this idea that the cotton gin is the symbol of slavery. Do you think, for example, it's more the Spanish and the Portuguese that invented modern slavery? They don't associate it with the cotton gin. The British did a lot of slave trading, so did the Dutch. They didn't use the cotton gin. What really symbolizes slavery for me are things like the whip, the fact that women were raped, that people had no civil rights, that basically you were treated like an animal. So if you did what you were supposed to, you were treated, quote, well, unquote, you were fed. And if somebody didn't like you, they could do whatever they wanted with you. And so this is where it's really kind of difficult for me to answer. It's this discussion on page 5, which from my point of view, it's kind of philosophical meanderings about symbols and what they mean. For me, symbols or icons or whatever you want to call them, they very often have a very definite meaning. Like our flag has a meaning. It means that there are 50 states and that there were 13 colonies and that we're a union. That's what it means. And our national anthem, it also has a meaning. It's not just a symbol. It refers to the War of 1812 and when we had to defend ourselves against the British and, you know, the touch and go nature of that combat. So there's all this argument about symbols, but like I used to live in California. We have statues of Saint Junipero Serra. It's all the same. It's always the same with these symbols now. People want to take down statues. And from my point of view, and this is my core disagreement with Mr. Vaven, is he says, we're not trying to rewrite history. And I say, yes, you are trying to rewrite history. You are trying to rewrite history. Certainly, we can view history differently, but the facts of history, they kind of remain the same. And monuments are something that remind us of things that happen, you know? So anyway, the idea that the cotton gin is somehow a symbol of slavery, I think it's exaggerated. It is in no way a symbol of slavery in the way that the swastika is a symbol of the Nazi party, or the cross is a symbol of Christianity, or the crescent is a symbol of Islam. It's some people choose to make it a symbol of slavery. And so then, you know, pages 5 and 6, it goes on about symbols and history is stories. Well, I think history is more than just stories, you know. Stories is kind of a little bit too close to myths. But, and what I really don't like is that he badmouths Eli Whitney. He says, I have come across references that diminish his stature as an inventor, including the ingenuity behind his cotton gin. Well, if you read this book, you really don't doubt it, okay? The lady goes into great detail about how different the Whitney cotton gin was. And in fact, it had advantages and it had disadvantages. It kind of tore the fibers a little bit. So the quality, it increased the quantity at the cost of quality. And then he says, how deeply connected was Eli Whitney to Westborough? Well, we know how deeply connected. He was like a WHS student that would have stayed in the town until he was 23, a little bit later than a WHS student, and then he went to Yale. So if we had a student of ours that went to MIT and came up with a great invention, wouldn't we associate that with Westborough? Wouldn't we be proud of that? Of course we would. So, and then he says, if we want to honor a person on our seal, is there someone else in our history who is more deserving? Well, I would really be very interested in that question. So that's really all that I have to say.
Okay, those are great points. I appreciate you letting us, just talking about them.
Yeah.
Thank you. So is there anyone else that has come forward to speak? No. No. Okay, well, I guess we can adjourn the meeting.
No, we need to set the date for our next meeting.
Yes, but I just,
Oh.
yeah.
Sorry.
So I would need a motion. We would like to have our next meeting on January 6th at 7:30. So if someone could make a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that our next meeting be held January 6th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. at the Westborough Firehouse Meeting Room.
And a second. Somebody second that? I guess I can second that.
I'll second that. I was trying to get unmuted there. Sorry, Wendy.
Oh, okay. Thanks. All in favor? Aye. And I would need a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I will second it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, meeting's adjourned.